This is why your factory car speakers suck. The newest vehicle I drive is 14 years old. Yeah. It's a 2005 GMC Envoy. I replaced the speakers front and rear because, well, the factory speakers were terrible. Now, why were they terrible? It's because they were factory, from GM. Never part of any sort of special audio improvement package and never touched by the previous owner. Thankfully. They were stock and put out one of the worst sounds I've ever heard from a car speaker system. So, if you're me, what do you do in that situation? You replace them, of course. Well, today I'll be replacing the rear door speakers in my 1995 or 24-year-old GMC Suburban. And for the same reasons I just mentioned. The new speakers I'll be using are these Infinity REF-6522EX shallow mount speakers. These are the same speakers that I put in my 05 Envoy, front and rear, with excellent results. Number one, they sound great. Number two, they're shallow mount, so fit just about anywhere you have a 6.5-inch speaker. And number three, they're cheap, like incredibly cheap. I bought these suckers on Amazon, and they are like half the price they were when they were new because they are last year's model. As far as I can tell, the only difference between this year and last year is the tweeter on it is adjustable on the new model, but I don't need that, so I don't care. They still sound excellent. They are still Infinity reference series, and I love them. I'll put a link down in the description below this video if you want to check them out. Now, on this 95, I've already made an epic install video on the front door speakers of an Infinity component system. It's pretty awesome. I'll also link that below. So let's get into it. All right, so the first obstacle we have to overcome is to remove this door panel without breaking it. And I do have to admit, this rear door panel was quite a bit harder to remove than the front door panel. Using a specialized trim tool will help you tremendously, but I do recommend using a plastic version that will not scratch your paint or your door panel. In my case, I had to remove this extra little trim piece that went over the door handle, and unfortunately, I did break it, but it should go back on just fine. I took the ashtray out of the door and you can see right down into that factory speaker. And what you can also see is just how tight of a fit it is. So in my case, these shallow mount speakers from Infinity are exactly what I needed. Next, I grabbed my screw gun and there are two Phillips head screws that are right here in the pull handle. Just gonna go ahead and zip these out. And unfortunately, you can see here, I did end up breaking a couple of these door pins. It's inevitable, it's gonna happen no matter how careful you are, and I am very careful. Fortunately, Amazon sells them for my vehicle, and I'm sure they sell them for yours too. They were very cheap, and they work just like factory. Here you can see the factory hole that this pin was supposed to go in, and all you do is replace it. So we have the door panel off. And here you can see exactly where the speaker is, right behind this plastic grill. Fortunately, the plastic grill is very easy to take off. There's just a couple of tabs you need to press with your fingers and push through. And once I had those clips pushed in, I went ahead and removed the plastic grill for the speaker. Taking a closer look at the speaker, you can see that it is mounted with plastic push pins. In order to remove these plastic push pins, you just come to the front of the speaker, stick a little screwdriver in there, and just pry up on it, and the whole thing should pull right out. Well, that was easy enough. We got the factory speaker out. This little plug here on the back, though, I'm gonna actually remove and reuse. In order to mount our new Infinity speakers, fortunately, they come with an assortment of screws and clips, and this little metal clip is definitely going to come in handy. Now, I wish it would have been as easy as just pushing this thing on right over the existing hole, but unfortunately, it wasn't. Not to worry, this is nothing a simple razor blade can't handle. I'll just make a simple square cut and remove part of this upholstery right around the hole, and now this clip just slides right on. All right, we got all four of the clips on and they fit and look great. So let's take a look at the factory speaker that came out of this 24-year-old truck. You can see the design is kind of odd and it's made with a very thin, papery material. Now let's grab one of the factory speakers that came out of my 2005 Envoy. Wow, they look literally exactly the same. Made from the same materials and have the same design. How's that for 10 years of innovation? Now let's let's take a look at this awesome 6.5-inch shallow mount speaker from Infinity. This speaker is made very well and sounds incredible. Here we have that little black plug that was on the back of the factory speaker, and I'm going to reuse it. So I'm going to desolder these two wires, and I'm going to resolder it onto my new speaker. I did slide a piece of cardboard in there very carefully just to make sure that no solder was going to drop down on my brand new speaker cone. And I also previously applied more solder to the connection points of this plug so that I can hold the plug with one hand and just use my soldering iron with the other to get it mounted. Now that this plug is mounted securely and in place, I'm going to come back with more solder and make an even better connection. Here is the end result. You can see our brand new Infinity speaker now has the factory plug installed. This will make for a simple plug and play install. To mount the new speaker into our door panel, we already have our clips placed, and we simply drop the speaker in and screw it down. I'm not going to use the screws that came with the Infinity speaker. I have a little bit thicker of a screw that I bought from my local hardware store, and I'll be using these. They just help to hold the speaker a little bit tighter into that metal clip. And here we can see the back side. Everything is looking great. Now that the speaker is mounted in the door panel, I'm going to replace this plastic grill, letting the door panel retain its factory look. Since we reused our factory plug from the factory speaker, this install couldn't be easier. Just simply plug in the wires. Now we're going to replace our door panel, which is as simple as lining up the pins and pushing them in place to lock them down. Now I simply replace the two Phillips screws that were in the pull handle, and that's it. I'm done. This truck now has an awesome set of Infinity speakers throughout. And as you can see, it looks completely factory until you look up close. So why do your car's factory speakers suck? The answer is pretty simple. Car manufacturers specialize in making cars. Therefore, unless you've got an upgraded audio package from the factory, chances are your speakers are going to be of a very low quality. Meant to be a speaker in form and function, but never meant to produce great sound. Now, these are all my opinions, of course, and I'd like to hear yours by commenting below. What kind of car or truck do you drive? Are the factory speakers actually good? Do they sound good? Have you replaced your factory speakers? And if so, with what brand? Which brands have you had good luck with and which have you not? Comment below and let us all know. Well guys, if you liked this video, I would really appreciate a thumbs up, and also if you're not subscribed, subscribe. My name is Jimmy, this is One Road, and I will see you in the next one.